18 Australian dollars, about 12 US dollars, is what I spent to eat like a king in Newcastle yesterday, from my morning coffee to the last bite of dinner, and I'm going to open that number up meal by meal and hold every single item next to what the exact same thing cost back in the States. But before I get into all of it, it would really mean a lot if you'd subscribe to the channel and leave a like. It genuinely helps us out over here. Now, let me take you back 4 years. I'm standing in a supermarket back home, one of those big bright ones with the cold air blasting down the aisles. I've got one bag on the belt. One. A thin little bag, some chicken, a few vegetables, a loaf of bread, milk, and I'm watching the register climb. Past 60, past 70, past 80, and then it rolls right past $90 for that one thin bag, and I just stood there thinking there had to be a smarter way to live than this. The winters didn't help. Gray sky for months. That long, tired grind everybody back home knows in their bones. And somewhere in the middle of all that, I started dreaming about a little more sun and a lot less at the checkout. Well, there was a smarter way. It's a coastal town in New South Wales called Newcastle, where the surf comes right up to the edge of the city and the cockatoos screech you awake at dawn like a bunch of rowdy old men arguing in the gum trees. 4 years now I've called it home, and every single morning it still makes me smile. So here's the question I want you holding on to the whole way through. How does a whole day of good eating land under $20 without ever, not once, tasting like penny pinching? Because I'll be honest with you, that's the part that sounds too good. Is it really possible to eat well for $12 a day? Stick with me, because I'm going to prove it to you on the plate. And here's the thing, nobody hands a new arrival. The reason my food budget stretches this far isn't luck, and it sure isn't going hungry. It's knowing the map, which market to walk into, which day of the week the good stuff drops in price, which meat tray trick down at the club actually pays off, and which little cafe deal quietly drains your wallet. Nobody sits you down and tells you any of that. You just wander around your first year guessing and paying too much while you learn. That's exactly why I finally put all of it down in one place. It's called my one-way guide all the market days, the midweek specials, the meat tray tricks, the little things nobody ever warned me about when I first landed. All the stuff I learned the slow, expensive way, gathered into one honest guide so you don't spend your first year guessing the way I did. If you're serious about making your Social Security check or your pension live large down here, the link's in the description, and it's the shortcut I wish somebody had handed me on day one. All right, let me actually walk you through the day, meal by meal, so you can follow the math and check it yourself. No metaphors, just the numbers and a picture next to each one. Breakfast. 2 eggs, a couple slices of sourdough toast, and a flat white I make right there in my own kitchen. Now the eggs, I buy those from the market down the road, from a table with a handwritten sign on it. Eggs run me about $4.50 a dozen there. Fresh ones, the kind with the deep orange yolks that stand right up in the pan. So when I actually do the arithmetic, the 2 eggs, the bread, a little butter breakfast comes out to about $2.20. Call it $1.50 in US money? $1.50. For a plate that fills you up and sets your whole morning right. And here's where I want you to picture it back home. That same carton of eggs, last I remember, was pushing $6. 6 for 12 eggs. Here I get the whole dozen for $4.50, and I'm cracking 2 of them into the pan, looking out at the light coming up over the water. Now, I'll be straight with you, because I want this math honest, right down to the penny. I don't make every coffee at home. There's a little cafe near the beach, and most mornings I still walk down and buy myself one proper flat white, $4.50. And yeah, I could skip it and save the money, but some pleasures are worth keeping, and a good coffee looking out at the surf is one of mine. So I'm putting it right on the books, out loud, $4.50 for my one indulgence, because I'm not going to hide a single dollar from you and pretend the day was cheaper than it was. That's the whole point of this. Eating like a king isn't about cutting every corner till life feels thin. It's about knowing where the value sits, and then spending freely on the little joys that matter. So where are we so far? Breakfast on the books at about $2.20. My one flat white at $4.50. We're barely past coffee, and the day's already looking a whole lot friendlier than that $90 bag ever did. But breakfast and coffee are the easy part. The part where this budget really starts to breathe, where $12 a day stops sounding like a trick and starts making real sense, that's lunch. And lunch is fresh fish, straight off the co-op down by the water, where a big sunburned bloke named Dave once told me the one thing about which day to buy that nobody, and I mean nobody, hands a new arrival. So picture the co-op with me for a second. It sits right down by the water, and when you walk in, the first thing that hits you is the salt, cold air off the ice trays, that clean fish smell, gulls carrying on outside. The flathead lined up on crushed ice, silver and fresh, caught close. And behind the counter stands Dave. Big sunburned bloke, forearms like anchor rope, run the same stall for years. He knows my face now, and one quiet Thursday morning, he leaned over the ice and told me the thing that changed my whole food budget. He said, "Come Thursday, mate, that's when the good stuff's cheapest." And that's it. That's the whole secret. One line from a man who stood at that counter longer than I've been in the country. Because the boats come in, the week turns over, and Thursday the price on the fresh catch quietly drops. Nobody prints that on a sign. You only learn it because a fella like Dave decides to tell you. So here's my lunch. A fat fillet of local flathead, and it runs me about $6 Australian. 6. That's roughly $4 US for a piece of fish so fresh it was swimming this side of the weekend. And here's the part that still makes me grin. It feeds me twice. I cook half at midday, sear it in a little butter, eat it looking out at the water. The other half goes in the fridge, wrapped up, waiting for the next day. 1 fillet, 2 proper meals. Now hold that against what I used to pay. Back in the States, fish like that at the seafood counter was $15 to $20 a pound. I'd stand there under those bright lights, watching the little price tag say $18 a pound, and I'd talk myself out of it, put it back. Grab the cheaper frozen stuff instead. Here, $6 Australian puts fresh flathead on my plate twice, and I don't think twice about it. If you've ever paid $20 a pound for fish back home, you already feel why this one matters. And this is the whole thing about eating like a king down here without penny pinching. I'm not skipping the good stuff to hit a number. I'm eating better than I did in America, and paying less, because I finally know the day and the vendor. That's the difference. Knowing to walk in on a Thursday, and knowing to buy off Dave, that right there is the line between eating well and eating expensive. Same fish, same town. The only thing that changed was what I knew. Let's do the honest tally so far, because I don't want you taking my word for anything. Breakfast, the 2 eggs, and the sourdough, and the flat white I make at home came in around $2.20. My 1 coffee out at the little cafe by the beach, $4.50, and yes, I'm keeping that on the books, because a man's allowed 1 indulgence and honest math counts it. Now lunch, this flathead, about $6. Add those up and I'm sitting a hair under $13 Australian, and I've already eaten well twice today. You're doing the math with me now, aren't you? Good, keep that running total in your head. We're not done, and there's a lot of room left. But I want to stop on something, because it's bigger than fish. Nobody hands a new arrival that map. When you first land, you don't know it's Thursday. You don't know Dave from the next stall. You walk into the flash supermarket, pay full freight, and you never even find out you overpaid. That invisible knowledge, which day, which vendor, which raffle, which midweek special actually pays off. That's the whole difference between a smart first year and an expensive one. I spent my first year guessing, paying too much because I didn't know any better. And the frustrating part is, none of it was hard. It was just hidden. That's exactly why I sat down and put all of it, every market day, every midweek special, the meat tray tricks, which co-op stalled a trust into my one-way guide. Not a textbook, just the honest map I wish somebody had slid across the counter to me 4 years ago. So you're not blowing money in your first year the way I did. If you want it, the link's down in the description. No pressure at all. But if you're serious about making your Social Security check or your pension live large down here, it's the shortcut I never had. Now, here's the part I didn't expect at all when I started shopping this way. That co-op, That market they turned into a place where I actually know people. It sneaks up on you. You buy off Dave enough Thursdays. You start talking. He asks how you're settling. You meet the couple next in line, and I'll tell you a small thing that meant the world. My very first week in Newcastle, standing kind of lost by the fruit stall, another American family turned out they'd been here 9 years, heard my accent and just invited me for a coffee, right there. No fuss, we still swap tips. They're the ones who told me about the RSL. So the friendship, the community, that's the bonus. Not the reason I came, but honestly, one of the best things I found. You are not going to be alone out here, I promise you that. And here's the picture that stays with me. Cockatoos screeching me awake at dawn, the surf coming right up to the edge of the city, and by midday I've got fresh fish on my plate for the price of a coffee back home. That's not scraping by. That's living well and spending little, and the two finally get to sit at the same table. So where does that leave us? That flathead feeds me twice, and the running total is still barely climbing. I'm sitting under $13 with a full belly, which leaves dinner, and dinner is the reveal I've been walking you toward all along. Friday nights at the RSL. The meat tray raffle. A proper roast with veg for about $5 that finishes the day and the arithmetic all at once. Because the real question is still hanging there, isn't it? Does the whole day truly land under 18? Stay with me, because dinner closes it out. Friday nights I go to the RSL for the meat tray raffle. The room warm and loud and full of people who know my name. And even the cooked meal, they're a proper roast with veg runs about $5 Australian, which is the last piece of the day and the last number I need to close this out. Let me paint it for you, because this is my favorite part of the week. You walk in around 6. There's a fella at the door tearing raffle tickets off a roll, and everybody buys a strip for the meat tray, hoping to walk out with a week's worth of lamb chops for a couple of bucks. I almost never win. Doesn't matter. The point is the room. Old blokes at the bar. A footy game up on the screen with the sound down low. Somebody's grandkids running between the tables. And over at the bistro counter they do a roast dinner that would cost you a small fortune back home. Slices of roast beef, roast potatoes, pumpkin, a bit of gravy, some peas and carrots. A real plate of food, not a snack. A dinner that sits you back in your chair when you're done. $5 Australian. That's a bit over $3 US. Now think about what a plate like that runs you at a sit-down place in the States. $15, $18, $20 before you've even tipped. Here, it's the price of a coffee. And it's cooked by the same volunteers every Friday, ladies who've been doing it for years and will pile your plate a little higher if they like the look of you. So that's dinner, $5. There's one more little thing on the tally, and I don't want to skip it because I promised you an honest day. In the afternoon, off that same market table where I get my eggs and my fish, I grab a piece of fruit, an apple and a banana, sitting there on the table with a little handwritten sign. The two of them come to about $1.20 Australian. Call it 80 cents US. That's my 3 o'clock snack, eaten on the bench down by the water while the surf comes right up to the edge of the city and a couple of cockatoos argue over a chip somebody dropped. All right, here's the moment I've been walking you toward all this time. Let's total it up. Out loud, the way I'd read my own bank statement at the kitchen table. Breakfast, 2 eggs, sourdough toast, a flat white I make at home, about $2.20. My one proper flat white from the little cafe near the beach. The one indulgence I told you I'd keep honest, $4.50. Lunch. That fat fillet of local flathead off Dave at the co-op, the one that feeds me twice $6. The afternoon fruit, apple and banana, $1.20. And dinner, the RSL roast with veg, $5. Add it up with me right now. Go on, in your head, and tell me that isn't a day worth flying for. $2.20 plus $4.50 plus 6 plus $1.20 plus 5. It lands right around $18 Australian, 18, which at today's rate is about $12 US. $12 for a full, satisfied day. Breakfast, coffee out, fresh fish, fruit by the water, and a roast dinner in a room full of friendly faces. And here's the picture I want to leave sitting next to that number, because it still makes me laugh. The last time I flew back to the States, I bought a sandwich at the airport. One sandwich, wrapped in plastic, a little sad triangle of bread with a slice of turkey in it. $14. $14. That one sad sandwich cost me more than a whole day of eating like a king here in Newcastle. Let that number do its work on you. So there it is. The loop I opened right at the start, the one I asked you to hold. How does a whole day of good eating come in under $20 without ever tasting like penny pinching? That's the answer laid out on the plate. Nowhere in that day did I skip a meal. Nowhere did I eat something I didn't want to eat. I didn't clip coupons. I didn't stand in the store doing sad math over a can of beans. I ate fresh fish and a real roast and drank a proper coffee by the beach. Eating like a king. For $12. That's the whole trick, and there's no trick to it once you can see it. Now, I'm not going to let you off the hook without the arithmetic that actually matters. Your arithmetic, $12 a day for food, multiply that out over a month. That's under $400 a month to eat well every single day on the coast of Australia. Under $400. For food, go look at your own Social Security check. Really look at it. Picture $400 coming off the top for a whole month of good eating. And then picture all the room that leaves behind. Room for the rent, room for the power bill, room for a trip up to the Sunshine Coast, room to just breathe. That check that felt so tight back home, stretched thin against $90 grocery runs and $14 sandwiches down here, it starts to feel like plenty. Because it is. Now, I'll be straight with you, the way a friend should be. This didn't fall in my lap. It took me the better part of a year to learn which market day gives you the best eggs, that Dave's Fish is cheapest on a Thursday, that the RSL does the roast on a Friday, which vendor rounds down, and which one rounds up. Nobody hands a new arrival that map. I had to walk it myself, wallet a little lighter for the learning. But here's the good news, and it's the whole reason I sit out here and tell you these things. Once you know the days and the faces, it runs smooth as anything. It stops being a hunt, and it just becomes your week. You wake up to the cockatoos, you wander down to the market, you nod at the folks who know you now, and the money just quietly takes care of itself. The hard part is only hard once. Look at your own check and do the arithmetic. It's closer than you think. 18 Australian dollars, 12 US. A full kingly day, proven meal by meal, right in front of you. It's doable, it's real, and it's already waiting on the coast, with the surf coming up to the edge of town and a plate of roast with your name on it come Friday. All you've got to do is come and pull up a chair.